Hey everybody, it's Rabbi Shmuel Pollan. I want to thank you for joining me again for another edition of the Light Unto the Nations show. And I want to make a book recommendation. I make no money off of this, but this is a book called The Victorious Attitude. And it doesn't have a very nice binding, it doesn't have a very nice font. There's nothing really nice about the book except its content, which is incredible. It will really lift you up and make you the best person that you could possibly be. It's an instant pick me up. You will come away from this book with a whole new attitude, and your attitude is really everything. And you're going to be laser-like in your search for success, and you're going to achieve so much more when you have this book. So I highly recommend The Victorious Attitude by Orison Sweet Marden. Orison Sweet Marden. It was quoted in Tony Robbins' book, The Giant Within. And now I'm recommending it to you. We're going to deal with a very serious topic today. We're going to talk about the Holocaust. The Holocaust was the most brutal and cruel and unjust and disgusting thing that ever happened to humanity. Hitler got a whole army behind him that became guards who executed 6 million Jews just because they were Jews, and they killed millions of children in the process. They also experimented on children in the process. And it was the most horrific scene that was ever created. The fact that people were funneled into these gas chambers where they thought they're getting a shower, and they wind up getting showered with poison gas. And everybody asked the question, why? How? What did God do? I don't ask the question, why did God allow the Holocaust? I ask the question, why did God do the Holocaust? Because it is a basic tenet of Judaism that God is one. And that doesn't just mean that he is the only one. It means that he is everything. Everything is him. So whatever happened to the Holocaust, he did himself. He didn't just allow it to happen. He made it happen. And we're going to go into why it happened. And we're not going to explain this to people who actually went through the Holocaust or people who were directly affected by the Holocaust, because for them, this is too emotional to approach intellectually. And they need to be approached in an emotional way, just hugged and looked into their eyes and tell them that it's going to be okay and that they will feel better. They'll recover from their pain and their mourning and their loss, that it will be okay. Just comfort them. And that is for people that are just totally emotionally tied to the whole situation. But there's a whole nother population of people who are not directly tied to the situation and are looking at this from an intellectual level and asking why. And for them, we need some kind of answer. And I've been working for years to try to think up the proper answer to this question. What actually makes sense? What is actually the truth of the matter? And through the help of many Jewish texts and many non-Jewish texts, I have come up with a basic fundamental structure for how to answer this question, for how to bring out the truth behind this question. So we have to deal with people who are a little bit detached from the Holocaust in order to understand the Holocaust in an intellectual way. So to begin understanding the Holocaust, I need to ask you certain questions. Number one, why do you watch horror movies? Number two, why is 50 Shades of Grey one of the most popular books and movies ever, in which a man is abusing a woman, causing her pain, and she is aroused by this? And the final question is this. Would you rather a world with the Holocaust or a world with nothing at all? A world that was never created, a world of nothingness. Most people say they prefer a world with the Holocaust and not nothingness. So this means that from the start, if you're asking why God is so cruel, he's actually in the black, not in the red. He's actually in the credit, not in the debit, because he's giving you something more than nothingness. He's giving you something you prefer over nothingness. That's what God has done for us. He's given us more than he's taken from us. And if you add in all the things that we can be grateful for, from our heartbeat to the trees to the oxygen to the way our body stands up straight and the way our bones are able to stay constructed and stay together and not crumble, and all the things that we have to be grateful for, which you may attribute to evolution, but I would attribute to a great intelligence like God, which I think makes a lot more sense, tremendously more sense. But why do we choose pain? Because I can't answer for God why he did it. I'm not a prophet, although I've had some incredible experiences, and maybe I am a prophet, but I still can't, or haven't been given the ability to see into God's mind why he did such a terrible, horrible, cruel thing. But what we can say is that we may just have the same flaw, if we can call it a flaw, in our nature. Maybe human beings have the same urge that God has to have the Holocaust. And in that sense, it makes sense because we are similar to God. We were created in his image. And if we desire pain, then he desires pain. Then it makes some sense. And we know that we do desire pain at times. Holocaust is not going on all the time, and we are not in pain all the time, but for some times when we choose it, we want the pain. That's why we want the horror movies. That's why we want to watch and learn about a woman who's being abused, who's being whipped, and treated with whips and chains. And we want to learn about that and get turned on by it because we, for some reason, which I'll explain, we like the pain. We actually want the pain. We actually get enjoyment from it. And the reason for that is because we want strong emotions. We want anything that's strong. So we'll go on a roller coaster even though it's painful. We'll go jump out of a plane even though that's painful emotionally, because we want strong emotions. And what does that really mean, we want strong emotions? That means we want to feel life. And life is God. There's nothing but God. When we're feeling life, we're feeling God. We want the connection to God. And so we want the pain because we want the connection to God. We want to feel strong emotions. We want the intensity. We want tremendous intensity in our experience with the world. We would much rather pain than nothingness. We would much rather pain than no pain or no feelings at all. None of us would sacrifice all of our feelings to avoid going through that pain. We actually go and pay for that pain. We choose that pain. So, what more can we say? Suffering is the closest thing that we can get to God. That's what we're told. We're told that the people who went through the Holocaust are people you can ask for blessings and they will be fulfilled. My mentor would say, if you can't get to me, go to one of them. Go to one of the Holocaust survivors. They're tremendously holy because they have gone through the suffering, they've gone through the closeness, they've gone through the strong emotions, they've gone through the intensity of experiencing life, of experiencing God. They are closest to God because they have suffered. When anyone suffers, they are closer to God. And you should remember that when you suffer, when your day takes on a course that you didn't expect and it seems chaotic and you don't know how you're going to get out of it, we should all remember that God is closest to us because when we're feeling the strongest emotions, and the strongest emotion we can feel is pain, the pain and fear and suffering and anxiety, that brings you the closest to God. So that actually lifts you out of the pain and the anxiety when you realize that what's happening is I'm experiencing life in a very intense way, and I'm very close to life, therefore I'm very close to God. And that closeness, that connection, that meeting of the minds with God can take me out of any adversity. So the Holocaust life is a movie, and the Holocaust is a horror movie, maybe the most horrible horror movie ever created. We know life is a movie because it has characters and a plot and an audience, being the souls in the paradise in heaven. And we all have this urge to watch horror movies, and we have the same urge to watch Schindler's List, a movie about the Holocaust. We enjoy watching Schindler's List. It's sort of a what would you call a dark enjoyment, but it is enjoyment. It is feeling strong emotions. It is feeling pain, which brings you closest to God. So if we feel that way, if we feel that we want the pain when it means experiencing strong emotions, why would God be any different? Why isn't the Holocaust just the most natural thing we could imagine to create the most horrible horror movie because we want to be scared and we want to be fearful and we want to be dejected. We want to go through hard times, dark times as much as possible because that brings us closest to God. And from there, we'll be able to shed light and go through the adversity, shine light on the adversity, and bring us to a whole new level of joy, happiness, courage, peace, all of these good things, which leads ultimately to a paradise. And I know the word paradise has been corrupted, but we're going to have to reclaim it. Paradise is a good thing because people always think about the 70 virgins that the Arabs get when they blow themselves up. That's paradise. Well, that's not paradise at all. Paradise is a wonderful place with no violence and with tremendous wisdom and cooperation and unity and the means so that no one is hungry, no one suffering, no one tells a lie, no one is dishonest. All the good things that we could imagine, true good, is in paradise, and it will start from realizing that the suffering that we experience is a closeness to God. That will give us the power to get out of all of these issues and bring the messianic redemption, all of us together, enjoying it as one. God bless.